Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up? And welcome to another episode of The Breakfast Show with Marisha LaShay. It is so good to be here with you guys this morning. Man, what's up? Welcome back to season 5 as it continues, and I'm still celebrating. It is so good to be back before you all under the sound of my voice, giving honor to God who is the head of my life. I have had the opportunity to complete 4 seasons before I have arrived here at season 5, and I don't take this opportunity lightly or for granted. I appreciate God for being with me and being an inspiration from places to the people that I have met thus far. I'm eternally grateful and I will always express my gratitude when it comes to keeping me grounded and also being humble. So for the next part of the show, you know that I gotta always thank God for all that He's done for me. This is the acknowledgement piece. If there was no God, there would be no me. Want to thank God for giving me my gift of gab. I want to thank my parents, my son, every supporter, every person that has supported me in some any shape or form. Thank you so much because none of this would be possible without you guys tuning in to listening, without God allowing me to be able to create, and my parents, allowing me to physically be here with the help of God through procreation. So, of course, you guys know that I'm definitely thankful for another day that I could be able to open up my eyes. My body is working, my mind is stable. Thank you, Jesus. Everything is good. All right. We're going to go ahead and segue into the next part of the show. This is the history about the breakfast show with Marisha LaShay. Originally, back in November of 2020, during the pandemic, my dad and I were working on projects and having morning meetings. And one day, a morning meeting, my dad and I created the breakfast show with Marisha LaShay because we were asking each other thought provoking questions. And from that point, I ran with the idea of being able to reach a bigger audience with some of these thoughts and creating an actual safe space for others to engage my content. Then we decided that I will only go live in the months that have 30 days, which are April, June, September, and November. And the reason being is because we will be able to have 30 days, 30 episodes within the actual season. And, we'll be able to keep going and engaging other people. So today is day 11 of the breakfast show with Marisha LaShay, and we will be on for the next 19 days. I will continue this marathon of using my gift of gab to inspire, motivate, and encourage others to reach for the stars based on real world topics, ideas, and questions. So, with that being said, the countdown is 19 more days until I continue to come before you. Now, as we segue into the next part of the show, this is where we do our mental check in. And when we are doing a mental check in, this is when we are rating our mental feelings based on a scale 1 to 10. 1 being the worst day of your life, and 10 being the best day of your life. Can I be below a 1? Absolutely. Can I be above a 10? Absolutely. Nobody can tell you how to feel when it comes down to your mental being and how you're kicking off your morning. So, with that being said, I am personally 8.7 this morning. I'm pretty reserved. I'm woke. I'm alert. Uh, Pretty reserved. I went to bed last night, just as you unpack your day, the mental behind it, and just being able just to kind of relax with everything that's going on or that have transpired fresh off of, spring break. I'm in day 2. Yesterday was day 1. Today is day 2, fresh off, spring break and back into, you know, getting back into the groove and the swing of things. It's always an adjustment. So that's where I'm at with it today. Definitely so. Definitely feel free to share if you feel led to share. And if you don't, then that is okay as well. The question for today is SNS. What do you mean by that? It's called self-sabotage. So today I'm going to be talking about self-sabotage. For those who've never heard of it, of course, I have some type of article for you, and then I have a questionnaire to follow up after this article So sit back, relax, and listen up. How to stop self-sabotaging, 5 steps to change your behavior. This article was written by Alana Cooks Campbell. This was published last year, April 12th, 2022. Interesting. If you're reading this article, chances are it's for one of two reasons. Either you have a sneaking suspicion that you're getting in your own way, or someone has pointed out a pattern of behavior that you don't particularly like. No one wants to admit that we sabotage ourselves, but we all do it to some degree. Everyone has done things that took them out of step with the goal that they're trying to achieve or behavior that they want to change. That's okay. When we're aware of it, when we're not aware of our self sabotaging behaviors, life can seem impossible. We can feel like we're playing a game where we don't understand all the rules. It may seem like we'll never achieve goals we want or live the kind of life we want to have. When you're trying to create a change in your life, it's helpful to look at what you can control rather than what you can't. Fortunately, your behavior is something that you can. Learn how to identify unhelpful patterns and how to stop self sabotaging in this article. What is self sabotage? The term sabotage means to deliberately damage, block, or impair something so that it doesn't work as intended. Even though we are rarely block ourselves deliberately from getting what we want, we still might do or say things to get in our own way. To others, it can even seem deliberate. And as we get on self sabotage is when people do or don't do things that block their success or prevent them from accomplishing their goals. It can happen consciously or unconsciously. Self sabotaging behaviors can affect our personal and professional success as well as our mental health. Okay, so there's 3 areas that have been affecting your personal, your professional success, and mental health. Although we usually talk about self-sabotaging behavior, it is also possible to have self-sabotaging mindsets and patterns. Okay, you not only have the behavior, but you have the mindsets and you have the patterns. Becoming aware of what causes self-sabotage is key to breaking these patterns. All right, what's causing self-sabotaging behavior? In the book Stop Self-Sabotage, Dr. Judy Ho explains self-destructive behavior as biological response. We get a boost of dopamine, the feel-good neurotransmitter, by setting goals. But when it's time to complete them, the fear of failure triggers avoidant behavior. In order to avoid the threat, we subconsciously start to shy away from our goals. And this is called the approach avoidance conflict. Self sabotage happens when there is a mismatch between our values and our behavior. It's most likely when we have to either do something that doesn't align with what we really want. Conversely, it might be that we know what we want, but something that doesn't help us get there. So let's look at a couple examples. Example A, your doctor tells you that you should start an exercise program. That's great, but you hate going to the gym. Knowing this, you sign up for a gym membership and sessions with a trainer, figuring the extra accountability will keep you motivated. On the first day of training, you arrive at the gym 20 minutes later and without your sneakers. Example B, you're often late to work, so you make a plan to start waking up at 6 a.m. That evening, you stay up watching TV after dinner. You rationalize that whatever you haven't finished can get done in the morning. Unfortunately, you oversleep. Waking up late throws off the rest of your day. You're so groggy, you think, see, I'm not just a morning person. I'm just not a morning person. In all of these, in each example, our behaviors are out of alignment with what we say we want to see happen. When this kind of mismatch occurs, we have to either change our behaviors or develop greater self awareness. Self sabotaging behaviors are linked to cognitive dissonances, the psychological discomfort associated with internal contradictions. When we try to make ourselves do something that isn't in line with our belief or values, we feel out of balance. Subconsciously, we try to restore this balance by changing our behavior or creating circumstances, no matter how sneaky, that let us off the hook. Identifying self sabotage. There are many different patterns associated with self sabotage. One of the most essential steps in identifying self sabotaging behavior is to develop self awareness. Self awareness or introspection is critical to noticing unhelpful patterns of behavior and strengthening the ability to stop them in their tracks. A helpful way to begin identify forms of self sabotage is to frame your situation using the following sentence: I want to achieve whatever goal, but I keep doing whatever behavior. For an example, I might say, I want to get a passport, but I keep missing the appointment. Now that I have identified the behavior and I keep blocking it, I can start to look for other areas where that behavior might show up. Example, I might realize that I often miss doctor's appointments as well, or never put passport appointments on my calendar. Once you start asking yourself these questions, you'll start to notice your patterns and might arise in more than one area of your life. Here are some most common patterns of self defeating behavior: professionalism, perfectionism. Striving to be perfect might sound like a good thing, but often it gets in the way of being effective. Perfectionists often struggle with getting started on projects. When they do get started, obsession with the details keeps them from finishing. Perfectionists also tend towards all or nothing thinking. They tend to be especially hard on themselves and talk themselves out of potential opportunities before they even get started. Moderation. People who struggle with moderation often have difficulty setting boundaries. This behavior might look like people pleasing, which causes them to say yes to too many things. Or it might be a lack of moderation in other areas of their life, like one too many drinks out on a night out. There are other more subtle ways of overdoing it, like staying up all night watching TV or working out to exhaustion at the gym. Although overcommitting can look like a strong drive to achieve, it often masks an underlying fear of success. Number three, running on empty. Have you ever heard of the fable that the goose that laid the golden egg? The owner was tired of only getting one egg per day, so they cut the goose open to get them all. It didn't work out that well. Neglecting your personal needs to try and get more done isn't just short sighted, it's a sneaky sign of self sabotage. Procrastination, number four. Everyone's guilty of procrastinating now and again, especially when it's a project that they don't really want to do. But putting off your responsibilities can actually indicate a lack of self confidence. When you procrastinate, you prevent yourself from having the time and the resources you need to do your best work. Procrastination often goes hand in hand with perfectionism. Perfectionists will often delay starting a project if they feel they can't do it perfectly. Five, lack of communication. You know you need help on a project, but you don't reach out. You're running late, but decide not to send a text. Communication is a regular part of our lives, both in and out of the workplace. When we resist communicating, it's often due to self criticism. We worry that by asking for help, we're highlighting our failures. Unfortunately, the lack of communication can be damaging to our relationships. Even worse, it could create further ground for imposter syndrome. Because no one knows what you are dealing with, you live in fear of being found out. Symptoms of self sabotage. The signs of self sabotage can be very subtle. Here are some common ways people self sabotage both at work and elsewhere: refusing to ask for help, controlling or micromanaging behavior, picking fights or starting conflicts with colleagues and loved ones, setting goals that are too low or too high, avoiding or withdrawing from others, negative self talk, and extreme self criticism, making excuses or blame shifting, undermining your goals and values, substance abuse, overspending or overdoing it in other ways, constantly seeking approval, and reluctance to speak up for yourself. The psychological impact of self sabotage. When we're not aware of our negative thought patterns and how they affect our behavior, self-sabotage can run our daily lives. We might feel hopeless about the future or achieving our goals. We may think that there's something wrong with us and that we're not capable of success. When this happens, these negative behaviors can become ingrained. They can amplify our insecurities. Self-sabotaging behaviors drains our motivation, enthusiasm, and self-esteem. Because the evidence of our failures starts to pile up, we no longer think we're good enough. This self doubt begins to perpetuate a cycle. When we're inevitably pushed to do something outside of our comfort zones, we panic. Those uncomfortable feelings and scared inner voices lead us to act against our own best interests. And when it causes us to burn a bridge that really matters to us, it's heartbreaking. How to stop sabotaging yourself. Learning to recognize and stop self sabotaging behavior can help us rebuild our self image. Here are 5 ways to stop self sabotaging. 1, develop self awareness. 2, write it out. 3, create a plan and do it. 4, practice mindfulness. And 5, communicate. When you are developing self-awareness, which was number one, what does self-sabotage look like for you? Do you wait until the last minute to start projects? Do you pick fights with others or run away from challenges? Start your inquiry with the sentence we framed earlier. I want to achieve whatever goal it is, but I keep doing whatever behavior inserts, right? Once you have identified the goal and the behavior that's blocking it, you can start to understand what the negative behavior is actually telling you. In many cases, self destructive behavior is rooted in anxiety. Our anxious behaviors can cause us to avoid doing what we need to do to reach our goals. In this case, we're not avoiding the goal, just the perceived negative consequences of it. That includes the negative emotions we associate with it. Sound complicated? Let's look at my example from earlier. I want to get a passport, but I keep missing the appointment. Digging a little deeper can help us pinpoint what the negative feelings are trying to say. What happens? Well, I say I want to get the passport, but I never put the appointment on my calendar. That's a good place to start. Why wouldn't I put an important appointment on my calendar? Paying attention to this behavior might help me notice that when I make an appointment, I follow by doing something counterproductive. Paying attention to my inner voice. I hear myself saying, there's no point in getting a passport. You'll never get time off to go anywhere. Besides, it's too expensive. This is just an example, but if we slow down the loop, we often find that there is a sneaky thought that happens between making progress and unproductive action. In this case, it's my fear that I won't have the money or time to travel. Instead of addressing it, I just avoid getting the passport. Two, write it out. If you're having trouble identifying your patterns, start by keeping a journal. As you continue to write about your goals, you may start to notice yourself complaining about the same things over and over. Share these thoughts with a coach or a therapist. They may be able to help you find ways to overcome them. Sometimes self sabotaging behavior is a result of past or childhood trauma. We might develop survival strategies to keep us from further harm. Unfortunately, when these strategies outlive their usefulness, it becomes difficult to break them. Working with a therapist can help you resolve the underlying emotional pain. That was two. Three, create a plan. Do it. When you pinpoint the behavior patterns you want to break, create a plan for how you address them. For an example, if you know that your self-sabotaging thoughts sneak up on you before an appointment on the calendar, decide to put it on anyway. You can make it a personal rule for yourself. All of my appointments go on my schedule no matter what. By making it a personal rule, you allow the power of habit to take over. This increases the chance that you will actually make the appointment, but it also gives you a chance to see what else might be in the way for you emotionally. Taking action is a critical step since procrastination is often a cornerstone of self-defeating behaviors. Once you start taking action, you build momentum towards your goals. This helps you reduce fear and rebuild your sense of self-worth. If you need help getting started, talking to a coach or mentor can provide accountability and support. It can also help you stay energized when making small changes. Perfectionists tend to hate incremental progress, but it's the surest way to make change. In practicing number four, mindfulness. Self defeating behavior patterns are often painful to break. They may be coping mechanisms to help you deal with past traumas, or they may be preventing you from achieving goals that meant a lot to you. Once you start unpacking them, you see the impact of these patterns on your personal, and romantic relationships. It's important to learn to sit with these difficult feelings and be gentle with yourself. As they come up. Practicing mindful breathing and meditation is a great idea. Not only can it help you develop self compassion, but it helps to break down the patterns faster. Breath work strengthens your ability to stay present, which will help you notice when your inner critic pipes up. You can support your growth by doing inner work, working with a coach, or listening to mental health podcasts. And five, communicate. In some ways, the last step is both the simplest and the scariest. People who self sabotage will paradoxically do about anything to avoid drawing attention to their insecurities. Telling people that what you're afraid of might seem like jumping out of the pan and into the fire. By communicating, even if it's just a little bit of your mental health journey, can have several benefits. For one, voicing a fear often makes it seem less frightening. For another, sharing your goals helps to build accountability and support. If your group of friends is anything like mine, telling them that you want to get a passport is bound to generate excitement. Even if you don't tell them that you're worried about time or money, you'll get flooded with cheap weekend getaways. Sometimes creating a new emotional content for ourselves is just what we need to move forward. So, yes, that is what we talk about, self-sabotaging in our personal lives and things like that. And that's where I'm just going to stop in the article because I had some questions, a questionnaire. We talked about what self-sabotaging is: self-doubt, self-destruction, right? When does it normally occur? When it's time to make goals. Where does it occur, in public or privately? You could probably be having this, but this could also occur publicly, like between you and another person or in a particular group when you get called upon when you're out. Oh, no, 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 that's not my thing. You could feel shy. There's so many mixed emotions. Why are you engaging in this type of behavior? Some people, this is their norm. This is from their childhood. This is just their general MO, right? Who does self-sabotage? Everybody does. Everybody. Even the most aware people have done this in the past or currently now, right? What are some steps being implemented to decrease this type of behavior going forward? And as stated, I gave you 5 already. Please make sure that you could communicate, which was the 5th one. Fourth, please be sure to you communicate. Practice mindfulness. That was coming in at 4. 3, create a plan. 2, write it out. And 1, develop self-awareness. So self-awareness, you writing it out. You're going to have a plan for number 3. Number 2 was write it out. Number 3, create a plan and do it. Number 4, that was to practice mindfulness, meditation, breathing work, and communicating. Okay. So, you guys, with that being said, you guys know that we are coming to a close in the breakfast show. But before I leave you guys this morning, I want to update you guys on my current status as it relates to the goals that I had when I rolled out with the anniversary back in November of last year. I had 2 goals: to expand my listening base, which I'm currently at 449 listeners out of 1,000, which is perfectly fine, still an ongoing goal. Second, I was on 3 to 4 maybe platforms, but now I'm currently on 10. Glory be to God. Thank you. And last but not least, I started off with 7 countries, and I'm currently at 12, and I have 183 more countries to obtain and to get under my belt. So thank you guys for your continued support. Thank you guys for tuning in, liking, comment, sharing. I appreciate you. Love you guys so much. Guys, have a terrific Tuesday, and I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. See ya.